Just moments after the 2-1 win over Guatemala, which, funny enough to me, was our worst performance of the Gold Cup by far and away. Just an overall non-convincing, take a step back tactically. All the identity we had built over the last couple of matches lost. Nonetheless, we're on to the final, but let's get right into it with our instant reaction from this match. And obviously, credit to Diego Luna. An excellent opening 15 minutes, taking that opportunity early to pounce on a loose ball on a goalie error and get us up early. And then just a moment of individual brilliance. And this is where, we love Diego Luna in those half spaces, getting on the ball, on the half turn, driving at defenders. When defenders are backpedaling, Luna knows how to take advantage. Quick cuts onto his right foot and strike the ball into the near post. We know that's what Diego Luna loves to do. He had a great match. 2 goals, obviously, as we said, 26 of 32 passing. Also had a key pass. He had a successful dribble, accurate long ball. He won 2 out of 4 ground duels and his only aerial duel. A very strong match from Diego Luna, especially early on. Really got himself into the areas where we know he's at his best, getting himself into the half spaces, right, as Arfsen got high and wide, and they were still figuring out their press in a lot of ways early on in the match when we had Adams dropping in between the center backs and kind of De La Torre popping here, Berhalter popping here, and Diego Luna kind of had this 6 stuck, kind of chasing him all around, and when he could get into spaces like into here, the ball would come in from Richards. Berhalter would kind of get wide. The ball would come into Luna, and he was turning and running on the goal. He got into this little space where Tillman could play him a ball into the half space and turn a run at backtracking center backs who are worried about Agyemang. A really good match from Diego Luna. But other than that, Mauricio Pochettino just completely backtracked. Everything we had been doing so well just went away from it, and I have no clue why. It almost felt like he was more focused on teaching certain players certain roles and responsibilities rather than trying to continue to implement this identity that we've put together and dominate a team that we're much better than. We scored 2 goals and immediately got away from everything that we were doing well, right? Just to go back to our tactical board, this is what we know about this U.S. men's national team so far. This is how we set up for the most part. This is the average setup. You get your wide center backs wide. You get either Adams or a center back here in the middle. Arfsen high and wide, your double 10s in the half spaces, and Agyemang kind of distracting the center backs, using Luna to pin, whatever it might be. But once we went up 2 goals, Pochettino completely went away from that. He went Adams into midfield, kind of creating this little 3 midfield. Arfsen came deep oftentimes in a situation where Arfsen was the wide center back, Ream was the center back. If not that, Ream was the kind of a wider center back, but really it was almost like a true 4 at the back with a very flat area here, nothing high and wide, and then trying to play the ball long from either Freeze or Richards into the channels with Berhalter making runs here, De La Torre making runs there. It was completely bizarre. It almost felt like he was trying to teach Arfsen how to be a defensive left back in an incredibly important match, and it got away from everything that we've seen working so far in this tournament. It was incredibly frustrating. How many times do I have to mention that? The key to this team is our wide center backs. Ream and Richards, when they're wide, even if Adams isn't going to get this deep, Adams getting this deep just makes it easier for them to get wide because they don't have to be worried about leaving this open, and Freeze is not the kind of goalie who's going to step into there. I think ideally for Pochettino, this is a goalkeeper stepping in here because it adds an extra man in build-up, right? We talk about Pep Guardiola and his extra man in build-up. This is the goalkeeper. Yes, we're a whole different team. But for how we're playing now, this needs to be Adams, and it just seemed like Tyler Adams either was not being instructed to be here, or I kind of think he was shying away from responsibility. We got this 2-goal lead, and this entire team was scared of playing the ball into midfield. So many times, the ball was coming out wide here, and then either Freeman had to go back to Richards as they kind of settled into more of a flat 4-4-2 press. So 9 would kind of come to Richards, and it felt like anytime the ball would come into Freeman, this was taken away. There was no angle for Tillman here. We'd either have to go back to Richards, who would play it over the top, or Freeman himself would just try and play one into the channel. And once in a while, you got this ball into Tillman or Luna when he kind of kept coming into this corner, but it never really worked. And when it went the other way and Adams was really here, Arfsen would get the ball. Arfsen doesn't know what to do with the ball this deep on his left foot. He wants to receive the ball up here and run to the byline and cross or cut in on his right. But when Arfsen gets the ball down here, he has absolutely no clue what to do. That isn't a position he is overly comfortable with. really poor performance from Pochettino in terms of both pre-match management and then in-match management, actually getting the team to do what it needed to do in order to keep possession of the ball and dominate the game. I mean, just from a stats point of view, we get outpossessed by Guatemala, pretty much similar on XG for the most part. We get outshot. They had 2 big chances missed. We got lucky there. They had more passes, more accurate passes and more passes. I mean, we pretty much got beaten by Guatemala, if not for an early goalie mistake by the Guatemalan goalkeeper and a moment of brilliance from Diego Luna. Pochettino's worst match so far in this Gold Cup. A lot that needs to change if we're going to go. I'm assuming this is being filmed before the Mexico match. I'm assuming it's Mexico. A lot will need to change. We need to get back to what we're doing best. It's okay we got away with a win here. Sometimes you get away with a win, but this was not the team that we have seen. Even looking at the Turkey match, like we have started to put together a tactical identity, and we completely went away from that in this match, and I just can't understand why. A little bit on the positive side, Malik Tillman just continues to be the best player in this tournament. He's just different gravy from anything else that we have had in the past, that we have now, that we have going forward. Even just all the way up to the 94th minute, that little turn around the corner, that little back heel to get away from a defender. He just has a certain awareness and respect for his opponent, but also he's just learned so much. And the way he's gone about his career, Bayern, then going to Rangers, like taking the step. I'm not too good for Rangers. I'm going to go to Rangers and learn how to play in a double pivot. I'm going to go to PSV and be the best player on that team. Now he's going to Bayer Leverkusen, where he's going to go to a system with under Eric Ten Hag where it really features a double 10, where he's at his best. A player that can do just what he's doing here, right? As a double 10, he can be sometimes high like a second striker, sometimes receiving low and driving. Malik Tillman, I just have the utmost respect for the way he's handled his career, the way he's handled being a part of this U.S. men's national team, and the way he's handled this tournament. Such a good player. Patrick Agyemang, I don't know what there is to say. I mean, between the couple of just terrible misses that should have been goals, to the amount of times the ball comes to his feet and just can't take one simple good touch or lay off a good pass or get his head up. And there was a moment, right, where Agyemang receives the ball here. These 2 defenders are on him here. Fullback's way out of position. All he has to do is lay this ball into Luna's path, and somehow he hits it behind him and out this way. There are simple things about the way Patrick Agyemang plays that are just so frustrating and avoidable. I know he's the number 9 for this tournament, and that will continue to be the case in the final. I know it won't be Damian Downs, but it's hard to imagine him being in the World Cup squad at this moment with the way that he plays. He's just such a liability on the pitch and really hurts the way that we are able to go about things. And don't be looking at, this is a green. Even if you look at his stats, 13 passes. He played 85 minutes, only completed 13 passes. 2 big chances missed. It's just unacceptable, to be honest, as our number 9, and how big of a focal point the number 9 is in the way that Pochettino plays. Agyemang is just not of the level that we need for that. Luca de la Torre. I don't know how many more matches he could possibly play for this team before he is banished forever. This left center midfield position, I've spoken about it so much, is so important, especially when we're going to be in a situation where it's really, Freeman's usually a little bit deeper. Berhalter's out wide. This position is the key because when the press comes and the ball, let's start it in the center. The ball comes out to Ream. The 10 is pressing Ream. Arfsen's coming wide. The 7's moving there. Luca de la Torre needs to be available here. The amount of times that this would happen and the 6 was kind of coming to chase de la Torre and he would move closer to the 6 rather than move into the space. It's ridiculous. The amount of times I saw Luca de la Torre, the 6 would be on Luna, and Luca de la Torre is just next to Diego Luna or running into the space here. There's nothing here. He needs to be diving into the space. Weston McKennie is destined for this role. But Luca de la Torre just simply doesn't know where to be and when. And the amount of times he just wastes possession because he doesn't know where to be, or when he gets the ball here, instead of turning and seeing, okay, this player has to step to me, Arfsen's going to make this run, we're going to be overloaded, playing the ball sideways to Adams, and then resetting. It's just so frustrating to watch Luca de la Torre in that role. He's just a total waste of space. Sure, he didn't 19 of 19 passing, that looks decent on paper. I'd rather him have some missed passes where he's trying to play the ball forward. He's trying to advance the ball. He's trying to be creative. That player in that role has to be creative. Somebody who wants to take risks, who plays diagonals, right? Somebody who wants to spread the ball and vary his passing. Diego Luna is so one track and so poor defensively out of possession. 0 of 4 on his duels. Just ridiculous. He didn't make a single interception, doesn't get in a single passing lane. No tackles won. Those are the kind of stats that player needs to be. He needs to be creating chances. He needs final third entries. That's just 2 final third entries. He needs to have well more than that in that role. And he needs to be getting in passing lanes and winning duels. He did none of that tonight, as he hasn't been doing throughout this summer. And finally, just to continue my love of Alex Freeman, another great match from him as far as I'm concerned. There were many times when he was put in the uncomfortable position when we kind of got into this deeper, like 4-3-3 in possession, where 2 things. Number 1, this part of the pitch was a different material and the ball kept bouncing on him, which is a very uncomfortable position to be in when you're receiving the ball, being pressured, feeling like you have to go backwards, very uncomfortable. But more impressively, when he got high and wide, that first goal, right? All these players are running after Freeman. Agyemang's dragging someone in here. Luna's made a nice run into the box. Tillman and De La Torre kind of making late runs. He plays a perfect drag back. Tillman lays it off to De La Torre and ends up in a goal, number 1. And the second time, instead of the pullback that a lot of people were expecting because you had options, plays a beautiful ball into Agyemang on the penalty spot, who hits it right at the goalie. But Alex Freeman, I know there's some people who are like, oh, he doesn't do anything special. He's not great. He's just fine. To me, Alex Freeman, I have nothing but respect for the way that he's played as a youngster getting his first opportunity in a big tournament. Really been delighted with the way that he's played. A really spectacular overall showing from him in this tournament. Do a little bit more tactical analysis because that's what everyone's here for. I appreciate the comments down below. Every video saying this is the best analysis on this platform. I do appreciate it. I do put a lot of time into it. So we're going to get into it a little bit in more detail. I know I've touched on it in the instant reaction, but just to go a little bit deeper. So we started the match, and we did get Adams a little bit deeper into this setup, right, where we've been most comfortable. Having these 2 fullbacks kind of high and wide, or whoever this right winger is. Having our double 10s. Getting the ball into Adams. Everything starts here. When they opened up with that press, we were able to get the ball into Richards, and as they kind of were hoping that we were playing wide, Richards was able to come through the middle here. A couple of times, Berhalter picks up the ball here. A couple of times, actually, I thought Berhalter kind of got too wide, but Luna stepped into this midfield area, allowing him to turn and run with the ball. But then we score those 2 early goals, which kind of came from a little bit of luck, I would say. And then all of a sudden, we go to a completely different system. First, Adams is here, and we're kind of playing in this weird situation where it's like a 2-1-2 kind of buildup. So when the ball starts with Freeze, he comes to Richards. Richards basically has to dribble himself wide. He goes back to Freeze. Then Berhalter starts kind of popping wide. Adams is a little bit too high up, right? So they're kind of closing this down, making it come out to Ream. This player comes out here. Arfson has to drop all the way down here. Arfson doesn't know what to do here. Ends up back at Ream and Freeze, Richards, and then all of a sudden Berhalter has popped up down here. Freeman's dropped in a little bit deeper, and we're just playing long balls over and over again. Then Richards comes into the center back. Adams pops out wide, and there's nobody to fill up here other than Sebastian Berhalter. Luca De La Torre ends up getting super high and wide with Luna almost as this widest player. Arfson's still too deep into our first phase. And now all of a sudden, the only option is, again, to either, as 11 presses here, to either get the ball to Freeman here and hope he can build from the wide areas, or play these long balls and hope we win second balls, which we weren't winning all night. That doesn't work. The last 20 minutes of the first half, we continuously lose the ball over and over again. No possession whatsoever. So you imagine second half, we're going to come out, do something a little bit different. Well, we do something a little bit different, but not the little bit different than I would have expected. Now we're dropping into a very odd situation where Freeman is still the highest and widest, but Adams and Berhalter basically alternate between being this 4th player in a back 4 and then leaving one of the players alone here in the midfield. And I thought Guatemala did a really nice job of being in this very high 4-4-2 where it's so high up that when the ball actually comes out wide here, there is no pass into Tillman because these 2 players are closing this lane down. 9, the striker, is forcing the ball back to Richards, and Berhalter can't really do anything. There's nowhere for him to go. And yes, they would overload this side, stopping this pass, and so once in a while, this ball would get out to Arfson, and he'd have some ability to get on the ball and kind of carry and bring the ball up the pitch. But it got up here, and there was then nothing here to play. The 6 had tracked back. Berhalter and Adams are out of the play. These players are tracking back into midfield. And your best bet is if Arfson can play this quick pass into the 10, eventually kind of actually became Brendan Aronson in this area, and that one goal we almost scored, because then you kind of get into a 2-on-2 where you have these 2 center backs trying to guard these 3 players, but really these 2 players, and both kind of pull forward, and you play the ball in behind. But for the most part, we just struggled with central access, which was the issue in the March camp, for those of you who remember. We could not get central access, and it felt like we fixed this situation by, and I know I'm repeating myself, but by getting our center backs wide and higher than the center back. The center back needs to be the deepest of the 3, and you get these 2 players high and wide. That stretches this 4-4-2 press. Just to show you what it's supposed to look like, that stretches this 4-4-2 press. So when the ball comes out to Richards, 9's trying to chase this down, 10's coming to Adams, or whoever the player is. Now, Berhalter can either pop here for this pass, Torre can come here for this pass, and eventually what's going to happen is 11's going to cheat into here a little bit. 8's going to cheat to Torre. Berhalter's either going to start cheating 11 wide or cheat him towards the midfield, drag these players this way, and then this pass becomes available. That's how we've been getting central access all tournament. But for some reason, we got so stuck in Richards and Ream being so close together that it didn't matter, because when you have players this wide, the way that we had it, this pass is never here from this wide. What's hard to defend are vertical passes. This is a vertical pass. If you're staying in a specific zone to make a pass, that's vertical. If you're out wide here, this diagonal, it's so hard to find. There's so much more time for this player to cover ground, for the wingback to cover ground. The ball has to actually get here in enough time where these players have it all tracked back. We completely got away from all of that in this match. I don't have the faintest reason why. Why is Max Arfson playing as a true left back? Why, when John Tolkien comes on, is Max Arfson playing deeper than John Tolkien? Like, Arfson is a wing back. He needs to be high and wide. He cannot be low and central in the position of a wide center back. He can't do anything from there. That's not the profile and player that he is. It truly felt like Pochettino was trying to prove a point that Max Arfson could play left back. And yes, we come away with a win, but it's hard to understand why we'd be doing that. And the last thing about this specific setup that was so frustrating was this weird thing where the right back was completely and constantly alternating, which again hurt us, and it put these 1, Berhalter, 2, Adams, and 3, Freeman in an incredibly awkward position of not knowing where to be. Freeman clearly felt that he should be high and wide all match. That's where he thought he was supposed to be. Berhalter and Adams keep alternating here, but what ended up happening was one of them would be playing right back while the other one just is kind of in this weird middle position, and now you've just got there's no pass here. This pass into here, by the time that happens, the 11 has come across, the 8 is dropped in here, and now you're going back around again. Constantly happening over and over and over again. I thought Pochettino got every aspect of the game wrong, not to mention the subs he got completely wrong. He brings on Brendan Aronson. Brendan Aronson, I've spoken about it before, super coachable player, can play inside, can play outside, really, when he's given an instruction, does the instruction well. But his technical quality always lets him down. Yes, Agyemang should have finished that goal, but Aronson takes too long to play the pass, hits the pass too hard, just not good enough. Then when they score the goal, he's taken Adams out. Cardoso is injured. Adams is his only other defensive midfielder. He takes Adams out. And then you have Berhalter and Aronson trying to defend players in between the lines, chasing players, can't get on the right side of them. They score a goal. Why does he wait so long to bring Damian Downs on? Damian Downs, finally when he comes on, starts pressuring the ball high up the pitch, makes them a little bit more uncomfortable, makes them waste more time, makes a complete and utter difference in our defensive shape. It's sometimes getting fresh legs on a striker changes the way you can defend because you've got a player on who's got fresh legs. Fresh legs are highly, highly important. So many questionable decisions, but we do come away with a 2-1 victory. I might assume that we're going to play Mexico. Either way, we should feel comfortable that we can win this match. I would like to see Torre come out of the 11. I would like to see it go back to McGlynn, move Berhalter back into the midfield alongside Adams. If Cardoso is fit, maybe Cardoso can get into the midfield instead of Luca de la Torre. But at this moment in time, I can't imagine why this lineup should stay the same. This is back-to-back matches that were very uninspiring with a lineup that we only saw in these 2 matches, right? Like, We only saw those two things, this lineup against Guatemala and against Costa Rica. We didn't see it against Haiti. We saw a midfield against Haiti of De La Torre, Adams, and then we saw the Aronson and Sullivan kind of come in as the midfield. We didn't see it against Trinidad and Tobago. We didn't see it against Saudi Arabia. Against Saudi Arabia, we saw Berhalter, De La Torre, and McGlynn. This midfield hasn't worked. So let's get away from it. Let's go win the Gold Cup. This is Yanks Abroad. Thank you all for the support this summer. It's been so fun to make this content and have conversations in the comments. Keep commenting. I'll keep replying. Really enjoying chatting with all of you. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel as we've got one more match. We got a live stream, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Be there on this YouTube channel. We're going to watch along together, lift the cup, post-game after that. And then so much more great content to come this summer. We're going to break down Malik Tillman's transfer, Yunus Musa's transfer. Where's Gio Reyna going to go? Where's Timothy Weah going to go? Marseille seemed to be interested. Lots of fun U.S. men's national team transfers to keep track of between now and about a month from now when the season starts. And then we'll be doing weekly episodes talking about how our players are doing in Europe. And those who are in the MLS who might be playing for the World Cup squad, we'll touch on them as well. Thanks so much for watching Yanks Abroad. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, and we'll talk to you all on Sunday when we win the Gold Cup.